Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Block Thrasher Daily Crypto Update, where we simplify crypto by shattering the complexities with news, commentary, analysis, and education. Thank you for taking some time to hang with me for a bit and talk about cryptocurrency. I'm super excited. We got a ton of very interesting things to talk about, which we're going to look at the news stories of the day to sort of catapult ourselves into some thoughts and discussions about some big picture type of things within crypto. It's Monday, June 7th. My name's Justin Cummins, and every day I create podcasts and videos, blog posts to help you better understand what's going on in the cryptocurrency space and to understand cryptocurrency itself. We do that by looking at the market, seeing what's happening with current prices and talking about what's going on with that. And then I'll often highlight a certain cryptocurrency and dive a little bit deeper into that cryptocurrency. We do a word of the day. We also look at what's going on with the news and talk about just a lot of really good and useful content. But I'm working on creating better and better content for you through the various channels that I provide here at Block Thrasher, on the website and on the podcast, etc. I want the podcast to be, I want all the information that's being produced to be Banasic, but beyond Banasic. Banasic is our word of the day. It is B-A-N-A-U-S-I-C. Banasic. It means serving utilitarian purposes only, mechanical and practical. I want podcasts, I want Block Thrasher to be practical, but not to just serve utilitarian purposes only. I want to have a lot of fun. I want to, it to be entertaining as well. So I'm working really hard to that end, but I want more than that. It's useful information for you. So today we're going to jump right in. I'm excited about the things that we have to talk about. There's a lot here. Let's start by looking at the market and seeing what's happening there. Right now, the total market capitalization is $1.699 trillion, which has seen no change in the last 24 hours. And it's been more than 24 hours. We've been stuck at the $1.5 to $1.6 trillion total market cap for a number of days now, a number of weeks even. And it's interesting because everybody was wondering what was going to happen. We saw a definite decline in the market, right? I mean, Bitcoin, for instance, down now at 35,000 from close to 60,000. So that's a pretty significant decrease. That definitely hurt. Now, interestingly enough, there's a lot of altcoins that have fared better than Bitcoin did through this downturn. But the big question is it going to crash even further? Are we going to see that 80-90% decrease, or are we going to just sort of go sideways for a while, consolidate, and bounce back up? Well, it's increasingly looking like the latter is what is going to happen. And there's some interesting things going on here. That's what I want to talk about today. Look at what's happening with the Bitcoin dominance. Right now, the Bitcoin dominance is down to 39.4%. Ethereum is at 18.9%. So Bitcoin dominance down pretty significantly. Ethereum's dominance not up that much. So what that means is the other altcoins, especially those in the top 10, are seeing the inflow of new capital. And look at these gas prices. 19 gwei. Earlier today, it was down at like 9 or 11 for standard. Unbelievable. We haven't seen gas prices so low in a very, very, very long time. Well, looking at prices, Bitcoin is currently $35,780. It's seen almost no change in the last week. Very interesting. Let's talk about Bitcoin for just a second here. We've got one of these well-known individuals making another statement, Kevin OLeary. You all know Kevin OLeary, right? The business tycoon and Shark Tank guy, star of the TV show, one of the stars of the TV show Shark Tank, right? So he's saying this: trillions of dollars could descend on Bitcoin once it clears this hurdle. Okay, what is this hurdle? Let's take a look. Business tycoon and Shark Tank star Kevin OLeary is betting on a wave of institutional money flooding into Bitcoin once what? Once it solves a controversial issue. What is that? In an interview with Kitco News, OLeary explains that although he's very bullish on Bitcoin, big money won't be entering the space until Bitcoin miners can address environmental, social, and corporate governance, also known as ESG, issues. He said this, I talk to institutions every day. They are not going to buy Bitcoin until this ESG issue is resolved. Period. There's no flexibility. They have no choice. They've already decided that they are going to stay within the covenants of their ESG committees. Now, here is the interesting thing about this. This is what I want to present to you all and bring to your attention. This issue of mining with the proof of work mining and the negative environmental impact, of course, it's been in the headlines ever since Elon Musk made the statement that, hey, we're not going to accept Bitcoin for Tesla vehicles any longer because of concerns about the environmental impact. And of course, what was going on there was the board of Tesla was concerned, just like all of these institutional investors that OLeary is talking about are concerned because, they've got this mandate, right, from their board of directors, from their stockholders, et cetera, that they've got to be ESG compliant, that they've got to be environmentally friendly, et cetera. And Bitcoin has issues with that. Now, there's a big debate going on about whether or not that's even the case. But here's the thing. Look at that in connection to what's happening with Bitcoin dominance dropping as it is. And then look at that and think, okay, so Bitcoin and Ethereum, number 1 and number 2 right now, proof of work coins, the most environmentally and friendly coins in existence because of the nature of the amount of the electricity that they use to generate Bitcoin. So that's a problem potentially for them. But as we scroll down and we look at the top 10 cryptos, Binance Coin doesn't have that issue. Cardano, number 5, proof of stake, doesn't have that issue. Dogecoin does have that issue. XRP, centralized, does not have that issue, is not mined. Polkadot doesn't have the issue. Uniswap doesn't have the Internet Computer, doesn't have the issue. Chainlink, Solana, Polygon doesn't have the issue. Stellar doesn't have that issue. So what OLeary is talking about here is not an issue for the majority of cryptocurrencies in the top 20. So what does this mean? What does this mean for us? What should we conclude from this? This is what I conclude from this. Bitcoin, as incredible and wonderful and amazing as it is not going to become proof of stake. Bitcoin will always, no matter how much, and they're trying. Listen, Microstrategy, Michael Saylor, CEO of Microstrategy, Elon Musk got together with Great American Miners and other miners, had a meeting, talked about how we can make Bitcoin mining more environmentally friendly. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be proof of work. Now, Ethereum is making that transition to proof of stake 2.0, right? Ethereum 2.0. But that's going to be a year out. If then, we don't know, right? So, maybe somebody's made maybe there's statements as to when, but it keeps getting delayed. Ultimately, don't count that until it's happened, right? So here's the thing. This hurdle's already not an issue, though, for Cardano, for Polkadot, for XRP, for Solana, on and on and on it goes, right? So I've been saying this for a long time. I just want to illustrate it further. Proof of stake is the future. Proof of stake is the future. Now, hopefully Ethereum pulls that off and does it right and does it well, and and we're good to go with that. So listen, there is going to be a flippening of Bitcoin. So that brings us to the issue here of which of these proof of stake cryptos are going to perform the best. Is it going to be Ethereum? Will Ethereum continue in its dominance, etc.? But before we get on to that, let's talk just a little bit about this whole Bitcoin maximalism thing, right? Because it's becoming increasingly clear, all right, that Bitcoin maximalism is dying. It's dying, and it would always have died. And so there was this, here we go. Let's pull this up. There was this Bitcoin conference in Miami a week or two ago. And this whole subject of Bitcoin maximalism and toxic maximalism came up. And Eric Voorhees had something to say about it. Shapeshift CEO, if you don't know who Eric Voorhees is not shy when it comes to expressing his opinion about politics, finance, or Bitcoin maximalism, no matter popular or unpopular as they might be. So during an intervention at the Bitcoin 2021 conference in Miami, Voorhees criticized an earlier panelist comment praising toxic Bitcoin maximalism, saying that such thinking was wrong, to put it in more civilized terms. So here's the thing about the Bitcoin maximalists, they're claiming that it's a feature, not a bug, right? So just minutes before Eric Voorhees took to the stage to moderate a panel on the evolution of cryptocurrency exchanges, a debate entitled Toxic Maximalism, a Feature Not a Bug took place. In the debate, Dr. Bitcoin, MD, Nico Ziem, Alexander Zvesky, BTC Lurk, and Nick Hoffman argued that extreme views in Bitcoin were important to keep the philosophy behind this technology clear. Of course, they argued that there can be no other cryptocurrency that outperforms Bitcoin and that altcoins are a distraction, hindering Bitcoin's progress and global adoption. But some words from YouTuber Nico ZM were the ones that raised controversy. During his speech, he took an "if you're not for me, then you're against me" approach. He took an "if you're not for me, then you're against me" approach by saying that anyone who didn't support toxic maximalism was against freedom. He said this: "Not only do I think Bitcoin toxicity is important, I think it's absolutely necessary. And if you are against Bitcoin toxicity, you are against Bitcoin. And if you are against Bitcoin, freedom, period." The debate continued in front of an audience more than supportive of this perspective. It is important to note that the conference was promoted as Bitcoin only, i.e. fundamental was maximalist, though perhaps not toxic. When Eric Voorhees arrived on the stage, he said this: "Before we begin, did I hear someone on that prior panel say if you're against toxic maximalism, you're against Bitcoin and you're against freedom? Yeah, that's some bullshit." Absolutely agree. No wonder Voorhees took this stance. Now the author of this article is pointing out that Shapeshift, Voorhees' company, has an infrastructure built precisely around Bitcoin and altcoins alike. The trading activity around digital tokens has allowed Bitcoin's market capitalization to increase and has served to drive cryptocurrency adoption. Absolutely. I mean, if there was just Bitcoin, there would be no such thing as a Binance exchange, as a Coinbase exchange. Right? I mean, look at what's happened with DOGE of late. The massive amount of people that have come in, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you think about it. These people also getting introduced to Bitcoin. And on it goes. Solid, phenomenal crypto project after crypto project that's creating use cases and solving problems. Bitcoin isn't. So I particularly like and have stated frequently what Eric says next, but obviously it's always good to have somebody like Voorhees out there with his notoriety, because everybody, not everybody, but way more people know who Eric Voorhees is than they do Justin Cummins. But anyway, he pointed out in 2019 the irony of being a Bitcoin maximalist. He said, on the one side, according to his views, they promote a decentralized world, right? So the Bitcoin maximalist decentralization is one of the big selling points of Bitcoin. Well, we don't want a centralized currency. We don't want a central bank. We don't want, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So they promote this decentralized world. But then on the other side, they promote a world that centralizes payments around one single blockchain. And that is absolutely true. I would go further to explain what Voorhees is saying there in this way. You want to put cryptocurrency at real risk? Then be a maximalist and only allow one crypto, one blockchain. Then what you've done is you've made it even easier for the regulatory agencies and the governments around the world that are against it to try to shut it down, to try to prevent it, right? But it's just flirting anyway, because like we've said, there's no market out there. There's no trading. There's no exchanges. There's so many issues that would arise from that idea. But again, it's totally against the idea of decentralization and of competition in the marketplace. And like, my philosophy is let the best cryptocurrency win. It brings innovation. And if you don't, it's all about people. It's all about winning hearts and minds, of course. At the end of the day, it's all about adoption. So what these guys are thinking, and let's face it, most of them were early adopters in Bitcoin a long time ago. So their philosophy is one of all these others are competition, right? And this is something that comes up even in the business world. There'll be people out there who have that attitude. Instead of having an attitude of abundance, instead of looking at the other companies around them, like let's just say you're a graphic designer and there's other graphic designers in your area. Instead of looking at that and saying, wow, that's really great. All those graphic designers that are out there finding new clients and promoting the idea of graphic design to businesses as something that they need to improve their marketing appearance. So that also benefiting me because the general knowledge and the idea that a business needs that type of services and can benefit from it grows and expands, right? Or maybe another designer gets a client and that client isn't particularly happy, so they end up coming to you. You see what I'm saying? There's this abundance mindset that there's plenty of opportunity out there. And if you just outperform the competition, you're going to do better. So competition isn't seen as a negative or a bad thing. And it's the same thing within the cryptocurrency space. Instead of having this abundance mindset, instead of having this mindset that we can do a whole bunch of things, replace legacy systems that were centralized and that were controlled, and instead of creating resiliency through the decentralization that is multiple various blockchains and cryptocurrencies, which brings strength, which brings resiliency, which brings redundancy. And each one has different features that are better than others. Some are better as payment processors because they're faster and their fees are low. Some are better as store of values because they have low supply, or they're difficult to mine, or whatever the economics of that particular coin brings to the table, right? So it's actually sad to see. But here's a story. Here's an illustration. Let me see if I can find this really quickly. Where did I put this one? Oh, here we go. I'm going to read this to you. It's a little parable to illustrate how this sort of goes with these Bitcoin maximalists. And follow with me here for a second. Once upon a time in a village, a man appeared and he announced to the villagers that he would buy monkeys for $10 each. The villagers, seeing that there were many monkeys around, were like, sweet. So they went out into the forest and they started catching monkeys, right? The man bought thousands of monkeys at $10 because there were a lot of monkeys near the village. And then as the supply started to diminish, the villagers stopped their efforts. They were like, it's too hard to go find monkeys for just $10, so I'm not going to do it. So then the man announced that he would now buy the monkeys at $20, double the original price. So he was like, oh, that's worth it. Wow, I can get $20 a monkey? So they went back out into the forest and they started catching monkeys again. Soon, the supply of monkeys, because there's only so many monkeys, right, diminished even further, and people started going back to their farms and they're like, all right, it's too difficult. It's taking me too long to find a monkey for $20. So then the man upped the offer to $25. Eventually, the supply of monkeys became so little that it was an effort to just see a monkey, let alone catch one. So the man, people stopped. Again, it's too much work. The man then announced that he would buy monkeys at $50. However, since he had to go to the city on some business, he told the villagers that his assistant would now buy on behalf of him. When the man left, the assistant told the villagers, look at all the monkeys that the man has in the cages. Look, what I'll do is I will sell them to you for $35. Then when the man returns from the city, you can sell them to him for $50 and make yourself a nice little bit of profit there, right? So the villagers, they were like, this is a no-brainer. They rounded up all their savings. I mean, they were digging through the couches or bed, whatever villagers have, right? They were pulling out Graham's jewelry and pawning it away. They were going to make a nice fat profit, right? So they went through all their savings, all their money, and they bought all the monkeys. Guess what happened? They never saw the man or his assistant ever again. Just monkeys everywhere. And see, this story really illustrates well the whole argument behind just the number go up, which is what the Bitcoin maximalists believe in. Bitcoin as a store of value. And look, it's like monkeys. There's only so many monkeys. And yeah, the more people that want the monkeys, the more the price goes up. But this is how the market sort of goes. The early investors come in, they bought thousands of monkeys, thousands of Bitcoin at $10. All these other people come in, they want the monkeys now. They pay more with the expectation that they're going to sell it for more. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But there's so much more going on within the cryptocurrency space beyond just the number go up, right? We're talking DeFi, we're talking smart contracts, we're talking lending, we're talking microloans, we're talking identity in third world countries, we're talking all kinds of things, right? So anyway, I went off on a trail here for a bit, but it's one of those things that ever since, from the very beginning of the time that I've been in, and I was an early adopter, and since I've been in crypto, I never quite understood this concept. It's just so foreign to the idea of like libertarian ideologies anyway, that we want freedom and we want a world in which there's competition. We don't want a global currency, even if it's Bitcoin. Right? Because that's also dangerous and that's risky. I know it's not really likely. I mean, it's something like $4 trillion the last I looked to, if you could even build the mining equipment to take over the Bitcoin network, but that's not something that's outside of the realm of the possibility for a government like China. So there's another issue. We live in a fast-moving, fast-paced world. I don't want the dollar to be the reserve. I don't want any one thing. I think it's good that there's a competitive marketplace for currencies, actually. Huge factor. All right, looking at the prices, let's just round up what's going on in the market today. Ethereum is $2,763, up 15.3% in the last week. So there's part of the reason why we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance drop. Binance Coin was up 20% on the week. It's currently $391.35. Cardano up 7.6% to $1.70. Dogecoin up 18.2% to 35 cents. XRP up 3.4% to 93 cents. Polkadot up 19.2% to 24.36. And Uniswap is up 3.8% to $26.69. The only other standout here, there's two actually, is Solana up 46.6% and Theta Network up 51.5%. Going back to talk about Cardano for just a bit though, Cardano faring incredibly well throughout this market downturn. We have some more Cardano news today. According to zcrypto.com, Cardano is smashing impressive records. The question is, should Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin be worried? Cardano appears to be one of the younger cryptocurrencies with the most potential given its developers' plans for the future, but the asset has already moved in leaps and bounds this year, also boasting remarkable strength amid the crypto dip observed last month. We're going to look at this article really quickly because I thought they did a pretty good job at talking about some of the things that Cardano's pulled off of late. The devs recently announced the rollout of the Alonzo testnet alongside a roadmap for the continued improvement, with the highly anticipated smart contract capability soon to be a prominent feature. Cardano has had a very progressive and impressive 2021 and is one of the crypto assets generating the most interest. Last month, the feat of over 1 million ADA wallets being opened was achieved, which could be attributed to the upcoming introduction of smart contracts. The digital coin has also pulled over 600,000 staked addresses, with the total staked value at over 40 billion. There are over 2,500 stake pools currently active, and where Reddit subscriptions are concerned, there are over 500,000. The recent announcement regarding the plans for Cardano indicates August will be an endpoint in terms of Alonzo's implementation. The rollout will be introduced in 3 phases, blue, white, and purple. Each of the phases will bring about new features, which will likely lead to even more milestones. The altcoin was trading at $1.70 at the time of writing. Cardano versus Ethereum. Cardano is considered to have more upside than Ethereum, although the latter far exceeds it in price. Proof-of-stake coins have soared in popularity over the last few months, making ADA a very serious consideration. And that's as a result of our earlier conversation about the environmentally friendly aspect or nature of proof-of-stake. The high transaction fees and energy required to mine Ethereum has seen it get on the end of lots of criticism. And while there are plans to transition to proof-of-stake, that's still well over a year away. Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin spoke about Cardano's developer Charles Hoskinson this week. Buterin launched Ethereum at age 19, working with 8 devs in the initial stages. Hoskinson was one of those developers, but went his own way after a disagreement with Buterin over the path Ethereum should tread, which, if you don't recall, had to do with the rollback of the DAO hack and the creation of the Ethereum Classic chain versus the Ethereum. Speaking on the Lex Fridman podcast in a recent interview, Buterin claimed to have been told his former partner has come a long way since their split. He said this: Charles has clearly progressed and matured in a lot of ways. He was quoted as saying, 2021 Charles is very different from 2014 Charles, and I'm sure 2021 Vitalik is very different to 2014 Vitalik. You know, it's good. It seems like they're adulting a bit, or not adulting is not maybe even the right word. Maybe in his case, he's so young, but they're taking an approach of not slandering each other, and it appears more along the lines of what I was talking about earlier. And I know I've heard Hoskinson say things to this effect. The abundance mindset. You know, yes, this is a competitor of ours, but there's a whole freaking globe out there that can benefit from the technologies that we're providing through these platforms. And there's a multitude of problems to be solved through these platforms, through these technologies. So instead of bickering and being children like the Bitcoin maximalist or the Ethereum maximalist or Cardano maximalists, let's just go out and solve these problems and bring value to our crypto platforms, to the space, to the world. Now, Hoskinson has asserted that the inbound Ethereum 2.0 will be no match for Cardano. And he hasn't pulled punches. He's confident in what they've created at IOHK in the Cardano blockchain. But they all say that. Gavin Woods of Polkadot, same. Vitalik, same. Of course, that's their job as key figures promoting these projects. Now, in time, we will see what the reality is. And people love to get online and they love to go and they got debate and all of Cardano's vaporware and Ethereum this and Bitcoin that. You know, it's like, what makes this fun, and one of the things that I get excited about and enjoy sort of chronicling as I bring these podcasts to all of you over the days and years is what will happen in this platform war that we see going on, if you want to call it a war. But it's incredible. It's exciting to watch. It's great to see how it's pushing innovation. I mean, you think about it, like NFTs wasn't even a thing a while ago. Boom, they started to pop up on Ethereum and DeFi. 2017, no one even heard the word DeFi. Now DeFi is the rage. So this innovation is happening, and it's all through these platforms. It's good stuff. Anyway, the future is definitely bright for Cardano to be at number 5, to have a market capitalization of 54 trillion, to be doing so well even in a down market. Things are looking very, very, very good. Very good in terms of movement to the upside. And the same could be said for Polkadot. I won't leave Polkadot out, but obviously Cardano is almost double in market cap right now. And the market decides at the end of the day, and the market is showing that based on the price and the capitalization, that people have the faith in Cardano right now. It is interesting that Binance Coin continues to do so well. And I think this is just because it's so hot with the DeFi right now, but that's driven by these meme type of coin things. And there's so many problems riddled there. Problems with the hacks that, Binance is going to be a player. It's such a huge exchange. But I think we're going to see them get pushed down a little bit. That's my expectation. Not necessarily a prediction, just what I think. Okay, moving forward. Donald Trump has inserted himself into the cryptocurrency space with a statement that he made when he said, Bitcoin just seems like a scam. And this is not that surprising. Here's an interesting thing about Donald Trump. And this is not a show about politics. But I delve into politics every now and then. But I just, as you probably know, if you've been listening to the podcast, come more from a libertarian, almost apolitical perspective now. And the reason for that is really simple. Just to summarize it, I lost hope a long time ago in our political process. In the two-party system. I started to see that all they do is make promises to get the vote from their constituents, and then they go to Washington and they don't fulfill they don't come through on any of those promises, generally speaking. And they never actually address the real issues that the country faces anyway, especially if you're someone in the crypto space and you understand the problem that fiat currency is and the way our wealth is being eroded away, and our labor and the money that we make that we're able to hold on to, but it's like liquid, we're trying to hold this liquid in our hands and it's just flowing out and losing its value constantly, right? So when it comes to Donald Trump, the biggest question I had when he got elected was, is he part of the system or is he not part of the system? Because my belief is that all of these presidents and all these congressmen and all the senators, they make all these promises and all this kind of thing. And, they have differing views. Sure, they have ideologies, especially when it comes to social things. And they make promises economically about what they're going to do fiscally. But at the end of the day, they all go there and it's all for self-increasement, self-fulfillment. Like, they get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and they raise taxes and they spend more money and they turn the printing press, and we all end up not really being any better off. And the government continues to grow and grow and grow and grow and expand and become more and more a part of the economy, to the point now where, with the stimmy checks and everything that's going on in that regard, it's like the economy, right? So the big question with Trump was, is he part of the system? Is he, or is he not? Because I would not be surprised. This is my speculation, but I would not be surprised if, when you're president, you become president, you win the election, and you've made all these promises. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And by the way, none of them ever talk about the monetary system or the Federal Reserve, and very few. I mean, obviously, you got Ron Paul. We'll do that as a libertarian. I think the last president to do anything with the currency was JFK was talking about taking the dollar out of the hands of the Federal Reserve and putting it back into the hands of the Treasury, something of that effect. And some people even speculate that that might be the reason why he was assassinated. But I believe what happens is you become president and you say all this stuff, and then you get president, and guess what happens? There's this meeting, and the people that show up at the meeting are like the chairman of the board of the Council on Foreign Relations and CFR and the Trilateral Commission, and then you got the Federal Reserve Chairman and the Chairman of the Bank of International Settlements, and you got all these people that are really the ones that control the money, the monetary system, right? They control the levers of the economy, of the global economy even. And they say, look, you can do this and you can do that and you can do this, and we know you promised that, and but here's what you can't do. You can't touch. You cannot, you better not ever even hint at undermining or undoing the monetary system that we have in place. And if you do, we will destroy you by destroying this economy such that you'll never get elected again, because no president gets elected when the economy's bad. As Bill Clinton famously said, it's the economy, stupid, right? That's all speculation. I don't have any evidence to back that up, but it would not surprise me at all if that's the way the thing, because it just doesn't make sense that so much of what is Obama promised to be for the little guy and against corporations, and nobody benefited better under the Obama administration than Obama did. Massive amounts of bailouts and all kinds of corporate welfare, basically, to simplify what happened there. Same thing with Bush. One party promises to be pro-business, and the other party promises to be pro-little guy. And at the end of the day, they all do the same thing. They do the same thing. They're like, I heard someone describe it as they're like two feathers of the same bird. And it's absolutely true. And the corporations are the ones that benefit, and the global, it's the way the world is. It's the way it is. So to see former President Donald Trump come out and say what he said about Bitcoin is not a surprise. Former U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated his negative stance on Bitcoin during a Monday morning interview, declaring that it just, quote, it just seems like a scam. Speaking with Fox Business Stu Vaney, Trump said, Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. I was surprised. With us, it was at 6,000 and much lower. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. Essentially, it's a currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to the currency of the world. That's what I've always said. At least he's honest, right? And that's the reality of it is that they don't want competition. They want control. Which is quite interesting, because as a businessman, you would think, as a so-called free market capitalist, etc., you would think that they would view competition as a good thing. But no. In 2019, Trump, as president, blasted Bitcoin and cryptocurrency during a tweet thread. As reported at the time, Trump took aim at Facebook and Libra, now known as Diem, the long-delayed stablecoin project that drew the ire of regulators and lawmakers in the U.S. He said, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. The reason why they're volatile is in part because of the concern that the government is going to try to shut them down, because of the regulatory concern. The dollar is freaking based on thin air too. It's just... Trump said at the time, it's unclear whether Trump's thinking on the matter has evolved, given that he referred to Bitcoin as a, quote, currency during the Monday interview. Yeah, interesting. Because currently, according to our tax code, Bitcoin is not viewed as a currency. It's viewed to be a digital asset. But here's the thing. Trump, Obama, Biden, you name it. Congress, Senate, they are not going to ever just willingly, happily capitulate and switch from the dollar to Bitcoin. We talked about this before, and it's because the system, which is our monetary system, is what enables and allows for them to finance all the things they want to do, whether it be war or Social Security, you name it. It's why we have a rapidly increasing debt. What are we at? $35, $36 trillion? I don't even know. I mean, the latest Biden stimulus plan is what, $6 trillion something dollars? It's, you know, and it keeps the people happy. There's this game going on there. We're just going to give them just enough. Keep them happy. Right? So they're not, you know, he's part of the old guard. And to go back to the beginning of what I was saying, fast forward through his administration, Donald Trump's, and his losing of this, you know, the election on his second attempt, and it became clear to me he's not an outsider. Yeah, he did a lot of things to piss off the Democrats, to piss off the Republicans too. Everybody, really, because he's a wild card. He's definitely a guy who's got, you know, his own mind, and just you never know what he's going to do. But he's still part of the system. At the end of the day, he is part of the system. And by the system, I don't mean, obviously, I believe the guy is a patriotic American who loves the founding of our nation, loves the Constitution, loves the Bill of Rights, loves the structure of our government with the balance of power, with the Congress and the Senate, with the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branches, and all those things, right? Which I'm fully in support of as well. As long as they continue with the original thought of protecting life, liberty, and happiness, the pursuit of happiness and freedom, private property rights, individual freedom, etc. But when I say he's part of the system, what I mean is he's part of the dollar fiat Federal Reserve scandal. I'll just call it that. That's what it is. Of course, he's a multi-millionaire, or billionaire, or whatever he is. I don't even know how much he's worth anymore. But it's all in dollars. You know, anybody like that, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, unless they're more ideologically driven, like an actual libertarian is for the people, once they are of a certain wealth, they don't want the system to change because it benefits them right now. And they're the fat cats enjoying and living off the system. All right, enough about that. More good news for the crypto space and for adoption and for growth. Microstrategy plans to raise another $400 million to buy more Bitcoin. Although Microstrategy has already allocated more than $2 billion in the primary cryptocurrency, the business intelligence giant has no plans to stop buying. The firm announced plans to offer $400 million worth of senior secured notes due 2028 and to allocate the raised funds in Bitcoin again. Good stuff. And see, this is one of those things that might help us not see the same kind of crash that happened after previous bull markets. Also, a $7.5 billion hedge fund sees more upside in holding Bitcoin than gold. According to a $7.5 billion hedge fund, the price of gold will hit fresh highs in the next year. But investors may be better off gaining exposure to Bitcoin instead, as there's, quote, more upside in holding the cryptocurrency. During an interview with Bloomberg, Troy Gajewski, co-chief investment officer and senior portfolio manager at Skybridge Capital, a hedge fund with $7.5 billion under management, said the fund will maintain its exposure to the flagship cryptocurrency in the near future. Gajewski was quoted saying, "We're going to stick to Bitcoin and crypto because we just think there's more upside." So there you go. The institutionals are not dumping. Here's more evidence. Grayscale holds Bitcoin tight despite outflows and massive correction. Data provided by the Bybit analytics platform shows that the Bitcoin balance of the popular investment company Grayscale has shrunk just a little bit in percentage since February. A Bybit chart shows that from February 18th to now, Grayscale's BTC holdings have dropped from 65.44K BTC to 652.44 0.27, negligible difference. Investor outflows, however, have been frequent recently as the price of the flagship cryptocurrency has been declining over the April all-time high, reached at a point near 65,000. Since then, Bitcoin has lost almost half of its value, trading at the 36,624 mark at press time. Besides, Grayscale's GBTC is trading at a more than 11% discount at the moment and has been for a while. Good stuff. Good stuff. Bitcoin is here to stay. CEA at Lanes says, here's why. While talking to CNBC's Squawk Box host, Mohammed Ali El-Arian, chief economic advisor at German multinational financial services company Allianz, based in Munich, and the corporate parent of PIMCO, shared his take that Bitcoin is here to stay. However, he then corrected himself, saying that it is likely to have trouble with governments. Bitcoin remains as part of the payments ecosystem, answering a question from host Andrew Ross Sorkin, who mentioned the massive Bitcoin conference in Miami over the weekend and El Salvador's promising to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. El-Arian shared his take on what future awaits the biggest global cryptocurrency. On the one side, he said there are adopters, like those who were at the conference, and like El Salvador's president, who added laser eyes to his Twitter picture. On the other side of the tug of war, there are governmental watchdogs. The constant war between these two sides, the expert believes, will keep Bitcoin volatility high. Yes, exactly right. It's funny because it's these governments that come out and say, be wary of Bitcoin because of its volatility, yet they're causing the volatility, as he points out here. On the other side of the tug of war, there are governmental watchdogs. The constant war between these two sides, the expert believes, will keep volatility high. Sorry, said that already. El-Arian reckons that Bitcoin will remain part of the payments ecosystem, but it will hardly become a global currency simply because governments will not allow it. And, this is something that I have argued because you have, the Bitcoin Standard, right? Which is a phenomenal book, by the way, which I highly recommend. However, the idea behind the Bitcoin Standard that Bitcoin is going to become the global reserve currency of the world is faulty in my view for this reason. A reserve currency is a reserve currency because it's been declared to be a reserve currency by agreement of the parties, which in this case are the nation states, who adopt it, right? So people will like to argue that, well, Bitcoin will become the de facto reserve currency or whatever. Like, no, it won't. It might become the de facto currency of the people of the world, but the governments are never going to get on board with that and agree to it because they can't control it. They can't inflate it. They can't print it. They can't finance their operations, their war machines, their governments with it. Now, that said, it will never be adopted by the nations that have that power and have that control over the global monetary system, which would be the United States, the West, China, and these others. What's interesting to see happening currently now is this. The current monetary system not only, trying to look for the wording to describe this properly, not only does it take advantage of the citizens under its purview, right, through inflation, through taxation, through all the things that happens, but it is also used to wield influence and power and essentially strip the sovereignty away from the smaller nation states who end up indebted to the larger nations of the world or the institutions which are controlled by them, i.e. the IMF, the World Bank, the Bank of International Settlements, etc. So what's happening as a result of that is you have these nation states that have suffered economically under the thumb of the global monetary system. Yes, also they have suffered because of their own mismanagement, but they are now making moves to protect their citizens and sometimes their nation against this monetary manipulation through crypto. And here's a story to that effect. The El Salvador president said, no capital taxes on Bitcoin. PR for crypto entrepreneurs. The tiny country wants to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender, and there's some more perks for those looking to move. This is genius. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele said in a tweet last night that investors will pay no capital taxes on Bitcoin gains, a day after announcing the asset could soon be legal tender in the country. No capital gains tax for Bitcoin since it will be legal currency, Bukele said, responding to a tweet by Tron founder Justin Sun about crypto investors moving to the country en masse. El Salvador is a small nation in South America, known mainly for its coffee. Oh, I can do the coffee, tourism, and manufacturing industry. The past weekend, however, saw President Bukele publicly announce his intention to float a Bitcoin-friendly bill to Congress, one that sees the world's largest cryptocurrency by market cap become legal tender in the country. Sign me up. I'm moving. Let's go. El Salvador's okay. It's not a bad place. I mean, if you can handle the heat and humidity might be a little bit of an issue for me. But this is genius. Can you just imagine? Malta, currently one of the hot spots, a few other places for the crypto companies to go and set up their headquarters. I can just see if this happens, boom, number of them, many of them moving to El Salvador. But that's not all. The story continues. As per Bukele's tweet, those interested in moving to the country can expect a bunch of other benefits. Great weather, world-class surfing beaches, beachfront properties for sale. One of the few countries in the world with no property tax, no capital gains tax for Bitcoin, since it will be a legal currency. Immediate permanent residence for crypto entrepreneurs, the president revealed in his tweet. What the heck? This is genius. Unbelievable. Nayib Bukele, I don't know. Bukele. Immediate permanent residence for crypto. Now, of course, if you're an American, the U.S. is going to come after you. I think even if you denounce your citizenship now, there's some sort of process where you have to pay an exit tax of 40% or something. So it's not going to help much. But for others around the world, now El Salvador may not be the only place moving in this direction. Here's an article by Bitcoinist on why Paraguay could follow in El Salvador's footsteps. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, will submit a bill to its National Congress to approve Bitcoin status as legal tender. This announcement has traveled the world, and before its implications could be processed, other nation states hinted at the possibility of adopting the Bitcoin standard. Yesterday, June 6th, Carlos Antonio Rehala Helaman, Paraguay's deputy of the nation, changed his Twitter handle profile for one with laser eyes, a signal used for Bitcoiners to show support and their expectation that the price will reach $100,000. This is what he said. As I said some time ago, our country needs to move forward hand in hand with the new generation. The time has come, our time. This week, we start with an important project to innovate Paraguay in front of the world, the real to the moon, BTC and PayPal. No further details have been provided by the government official or any other public instances. In 2020, PayPal launched its crypto services and allowed its U.S. customers to buy, sell, and send Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. The company has been involved in the crypto industry and has progressively expanded its services based on cryptocurrencies with a checkout option. In the future, they will let their consumers withdraw their holdings from their private wallets, etc., etc. Paraguay could be amongst the first countries in the region to benefit from PayPal's crypto services expansion. The company is rumored to allow its international clients to progressively trade with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in the platform. So see, here's one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrency and why it's here to stay. Global, international adoption. Yes. That's what we've been waiting for. And here's more evidence that it's happening. Small countries are punching above their weight in terms of Bitcoin gains. Chainalysis tracked total US dollar gains made by Bitcoin investors in 2020. The country comparison was drawn from an analysis of web traffic on various cryptocurrency exchanges. Emerging markets appear to be punching above their weight when it comes to Bitcoin investment, offering further evidence of growing worldwide adoption, according to a new report from cryptocurrency analytics firm Chainalysis. A geographic analysis of realized Bitcoin gains revealed that investors in the United States generated $4.1 billion in returns last year, which is more than 3 times higher than second-ranked China. So see, here's the interesting thing about it. One could argue that by being involved in the cryptocurrency space and pushing for its adoption and investing in it, you are actually helping these hurting countries around the world, as they also, as early adopters from the standpoint of nation states coming in, look to cryptocurrency to stabilize their economies, to allow their people a way to actually build wealth that is built upon and stabilized by global wealth, right? As we, as people in the West, in the United States, bring stability to the cryptocurrencies by holding them and investing in them and using them and building out these platforms and these blockchain technologies, these people benefit. It's a revolution that's occurring. It's a global revolution. And what's beautiful about it, it's a revolution that brings freedom, that unshackles people from the predatory systems of the past that slowly eroded their wealth and the fruit of their labors away from them. That's exciting. That's the big picture ideological stuff that many of the founders of these different cryptocurrency projects. Today we talked about Vitalik Buterin, we talked about Charles Hoskinson, obviously Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that was. You could see it bleeding through in his original white paper that he wrote for Bitcoin and in the history of who he was interacting with, the cypherpunks, on and on and on and on it goes. It's way more than coming in and buying some meme coin and turning a quick profit. I think it's something that once people start to really begin to understand, they can really get behind. Okay, friends, that's enough for today. I think this was probably a pretty long podcast, but these are really some great subjects to talk about. I'd love to do this with more of a live stream eventually once I get set up for that, so we can have some cross communication, throw some questions out, maybe get some comments back. It'd be good stuff. We'll do that eventually. Always remember, it's a great day to earn and stack more crypto. It looks like we're consolidating. It looks like, I don't know when. My expectation, I was thinking about this sort of big picture the other day. At any point in time, obviously, we could see the market drop. We could see the market take off. My feeling is that it's been good to see sort of a stabilization at the levels we're at right now in recent weeks. If we continue on with that, that's not a negative thing, because come the end of the year, September, October, November, December, historically speaking, that's when the market, it doesn't always, but in the midst of an uptrend, a bull market that can just take off. I think that's what we're going to see happen here. We've got so much going on with so many of these projects. Cardano at the lead, launching new projects being launched on these platforms. So many good things happening. Yeah, there's been quite a bit of FUD of late. Yeah, there's been some negative news, but for the most part, the institutional investors, as we saw today, the Grayscales and the Microstrategies and some of these other hedge funds are holding strong. They're continuing to buying the dip. It's looking good. It's really looking good. It's looking good from the market standpoint, price standpoint. It's looking even better from a global adoption and use case standpoint. So it's good stuff. All right. I hope you have a phenomenal week as we just launched this new week here on this Monday. Hope you just have one of the best weeks you've had a long time. Pushing and praying for you all. Love you. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye now.